It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 398. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
Ooh, we're getting awful close to 400. I was surprised at that number.
And just to warn everybody,
we're not doing a dang thing.
We're not doing a damn thing. It's going to be another episode.
But it is a cool little milestone.
It is. But it's also one of those things where, you know, when you've been doing this a long time, you're like, yes.
It's another day.
Notch up another one.
It's kind of like, you know, you reach your 1,000 on Peloton and then you're just like, okay, yeah.
All of a sudden one day you're like, oh yeah, 2,500. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
Well, this week we have an interview with Kelli D. Now, she is a longtime Peloton user. She uses the bike and the tread, but she also has PCOS and she has been using the equipment to manage her symptoms. So that's an interesting conversation to have. Also, we have an update on the Milestone Badges. Been a little change. There's been some words. People have felt some feelings.
There's no such thing as little change.
Boy, isn't that the truth. We also are going to talk about these Bootcamp changes and what that means, because there's a ton of them.
Yes.
Strength Plus is we have some updates on that.
Okay.
We also have an update on some things that Peloton has been doing on the bike screen, like how they've been breaking up those images, as well as what's going on with the challenges for February. Some big changes. Again, people have all kinds of feelings.
As they do.
As they do. And we also have some updates on some additional store closings, not to mention a really fun update on Jeopardy, because Peloton was part of that.
Oh.
And we have very interesting instructors in the news this week. And not to mention, we have some tonal news to discuss, and we have a celebrity sighting, and we have lots of content to talk about.
Okay, well, over on the Patreon, over at patreon.com/theclipout, where for $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra, but you also get ad-free episodes, and if we get them early, you get them early. Well, we're going to be talking about an article from Psychology Today about music's impact on exercise, like just specifically what it's doing and how much it does it. We're also going to have tons of instructor updates that didn't make the show for instructors like Cody and Robin and Christine, so many more. And I actually slipped into shameless plugs without saying shameless plugs.
Oh no!
What the holy hell is happening?
Oh no!
Shameless plugs. You can also find us wherever you get a podcast. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. Check us out over on the Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. This is all assignments that we're giving to you if you haven't done them yet. Just stop, pull your car over to the side of the road.
Right there on the highway. Just do it now.
You can sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com, where we'll send you all the links and whatnot to the articles we're talking about. And of course, you can watch all of these over on YouTube. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
Everybody panic. The Milestone Badges have changed colors.
They did. Yeah. They didn't just change colors. They also changed font, which honestly, the font bothers me much more than the colors. This font is so ugly. I don't like it. And they've been using it.
See color.
And they've been using it on all of their marketing for several months. And I really don't like this font. This font is aggressively ugly.
Is it Comic Sans?
I have no idea. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. But one of the things that's changed is for a long time. So if you go all the way back now, so you got to go back in time to 2015. I don't remember exactly when badges got a refresh the first time.
Right.
But I do know that when I started in 2016, the badges looked different.
Okay.
They were really fun. It would be like, it would say something like playful, like you had a swarm and you like hung out with 9 people, or you did 100 rides, but it would say like 100 with an exclamation point. It didn't really, but like they were really fun, and they were like peach and blue and like really nice.
Okay.
Then they changed them to what the badges have been since then. And I thought those were pretty sleek looking, and they had kind of different colors for like the more badges you had done, the more rides or whatever your milestones were, they would kind of get slightly darker, change shape. They had all kinds of different reasons for doing it, but each one had a little symbol of what you were doing. So if you were rowing, it had a little rower on it, or it had a person that you could tell was rowing. If you were biking, you had a cycle on it. So you could clearly tell what they were for.
Okay.
The biggest thing that people have an issue with is the new milestones they don't look like something you associate with the sport.
Okay.
So the ones that you see on the screen right now are the cycling milestones.
Okay.
What about that says cycling?
Well, they're round and wheels are round.
Every single badge is round, so that means nothing. But really, what does it say? Nothing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't give you, and they're all like this, but then the lines, the designs change. So the rower is like, looks almost identical to that, but it has like a different background.
Like this bike one has what looks like a little like 50s era nuclear atom kind of thing going on.
Yeah, exactly. And so people are just really upset about that, because when you look at like the boot camps, they look like you can kind of tell it's a tread, looks like a tread, like background, but the bike one doesn't look drastically different. It's just really confusing. So anyway, that's the big thing. Also, the color scheme in general is much darker. It's much more heavy-handed than it's been in the past, which is just very different from what's been in the past. And people don't like change. No. And these colors just aren't as soothing to look at.
Yeah.
So between those two things, not great. So quick rundown: cycling, atomic symbol; running is like parallelograms above and below the milestone number.
Okay.
Walking has the parallelogram, but then it transitions them into rectangles. Rowing, there's wave patterns. Water theme. Boot camps, they reuse the cycling, the running, or the rowing symbols, but then they have a border around the circle. And then strength milestones look like a spoked wheel. Explain that one. And stretching milestones frame the milestone number with 2 parallel lines and a crisscross finish at the top. Yoga milestones swirl gracefully. Probably the only one that makes sense.
Right.
And then meditation milestones layer their design with serene concentric circles. And cardio divides each into 4 quadrants featuring semicircular line patterns.
I thought it would just be a long...
No, but that's a good idea. Also funny about this, for whatever reason, all of these go up to thousands and beyond. But for whatever reason, when they got to like 200 or maybe it was 2000 on strength, it just stopped and the old versions were still there. Right. That's the look we gave. We were like, were you guys not done?
Were they just like, nobody's going to get there?
I mean, well, that's another thing.
Nobody's that strong.
So the other really big complaint that people have is they have been asking for much larger milestones for years. I mean,
and that seems like a really easy thing to do.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And like right now they stop at 5,000. Now there's a little bit of disagreement. Some people say they've had 2 and 5,000 for years now. So maybe they did.
Right.
I don't remember it being that way, but I am nowhere near 5,000. So maybe I just missed it.
Yeah.
But for people who have really large milestone numbers, your last badge then, is it like 2,500 or 5,000? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have 10,000, you haven't gotten a badge for years.
Yeah.
That's
Laura Pug.
Does Laura Pug even use her equipment anymore? The OGs have all like walked away. I don't know. Maybe she does. That's not.
Yeah, like not calling her out.
Not at all.
Yeah.
That's just saying I don't know.
Haven't heard from her in a while. Yeah.
Exactly. But people really wanted, and so they're like, so let me get this straight, Peloton. Instead of you adding badges to the existing ones, you couldn't be bothered to do that, but you spent all this time updating them and making them hideous and nobody wanted them. Thanks. That's the general consensus.
We didn't have time for this thing you want because we were working on this thing nobody asked for.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like the kids. So we have had all sorts of changes in the boot camps. And someone was asking, was this in the OPP that they were asking this question?
God, I've put in so much. I am not positive. I think, which one are we talking about?
So I'm starting with the No More Core Bike Boot Camp.
Okay.
So this person, where's this?
This was somebody put this on the OPP, but Tunde announced it recently in a class.
Okay. Yeah, they say, not sure if y'all saw this, but Tunde shared that they are no longer making core bike boot camps. I assume this means no more body part specific boot camps either. It also seems like they've stopped different music genre boot camps as it's been a few months since they've done a genre specific boot camp. Do you think this is foreshadowing the death of the bike boot camp?
Yeah, well, so that's a great question, because then you combine that with the fact that somebody else posted. Then you change gears and you see over on the OPP, somebody posted that they wanted to see Callie back on the bike boot camp rotation. And somebody replied it was her decision to concentrate on strength classes. She spoke about it on her social media, which I hadn't really paid any attention to, but when I started asking around, lots of people had heard this. And apparently she doesn't want to do the boot camps on the tread either. So it sounds like she's going to be just focusing on strength going forward. But before, for the bike boot camps, it was Tunde, sometimes Cody, and Callie. Mm-hmm. So if Callie's not doing it, and Cody never did that many,
right, that
just kind of leaves Tunde. So you do have to wonder if it's the end of bike boot camps. It's a good question.
Right.
I have no idea if they're really ending. It could just be part of the conversation in my mind needs to be, look how long these instructors are on furloughs for. That's going to make a difference. Sure. Now, Callie is in a weird place with hers because she lives in Florida. She comes back, she films for 1 week out of the month. But a lot of the instructors, they're off for like 12 weeks at a time.
Right.
Due to their furloughs, their rest time that they're getting. So if it was Tunde and then she's off for 12 weeks, then there's nobody recording content for the bike for 12 weeks.
Right.
And like Cody's off, right? Or he was recently off for his 12 weeks.
Right.
So like, I don't know if it's just been a long time and we're going to see these kind of pare back how many they provide. Maybe we're going to see some of this kind of go to like what we see with cardio. You might see a set of cardio classes drop, or you might see dance cardio classes drop, and then you don't see any for like 6 months,
right,
maybe a year. Maybe that's what's going to happen. That is very possible. So it may not be that we're completely getting rid of the bike boot camps, but I do think that it is very possible we're no longer going to see as many subdivides. We may not see the body specific bike boot camps. We may not see, so you may not see core, you may not see upper body, you may not see lower body. And I think it's also possible that we're going to see less of them if they remain. So, and no more music. I mean, they'll have music, but no more like special series.
Right. It won't be a part of an artist series or things like that. Strength Plus was Apple's app the day.
It was
on February 1st.
Yes, they listed it and it was there, and you had to scroll down kind of toward onto the bottom of the apps, but there it was. So I don't know. Apple's so weird. I don't know if that's like a paid for thing,
right, or
if that's like we just choose it because a lot of people have downloaded it since it started. It could be either.
Right.
With Apple being as like kind of vague as they are, they're kind of cryptic about things.
Yeah, they don't like to tell people how things actually work.
No, I could see it going either way.
It's just sometimes the Apple gods smile upon you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes they don't.
That's so true.
Most times they don't.
Most times.
But
yeah. But sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do. Over on Real Spoilers, at one point, the Apple god smiled upon us.
Yes, you got featured.
And we were featured in New and Notable and just blew up the downloads.
That was fun.
Crazy.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I did some crafty work that I guess doesn't work anymore.
It does not.
Because I've never been able to replicate it.
Hey, you got one.
I just got lucky.
You did.
Yeah.
But you got lucky.
Yeah.
They were smiled upon. Just take it and run with it.
I did. So Peloton has added new subgroups for classes that you might be interested in, like
Notoriously hard. It doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
No, sounds a little dirty.
I could see that.
Yeah.
They also have like, I don't know, Fun and Fabulous or something like that. And so they've broken it down. But the interesting thing is you would think those would just be collections and you could see those on the app.
Yeah.
But so far, not saying they won't show up there. So far, you can only see them on the bike and it's just on the main screen, which I just think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, what is that about?
And I'm like, they wanted to call it unstackable.
Yeah, I do.
Come on.
I do.
Come on.
I also thought it was
never had a special classification for difficult classes.
I know.
And now I'm like,
it was pretty cute. It was, you know what they say about flattery.
Yeah. It's not the first time we've been stolen from.
And flattered. So
yes.
flattered. But the other thing that cracked me up about that was whenever you went into the notorious hard classes, you know how everybody has the thing about Robin and her yellow? Mm-hmm. Almost every class in there was Robin wearing yellow. I was like...
Well, probably because that was the easiest way to...
Exactly.
Right? Like they were just like...
You know what? If you want to take our idea, what you should have done is gone and gotten all of our unstackable ideas that our community has... put together. Instead,
they were just like, grab a bunch of classes that you know are hard. I don't know. Okay, yellow, done.
Well, honestly, what they probably did was pull the ones that have the hardest ratings because they used to have the ratings on there that you would be able to say it was this difficult.
Right.
So that's probably really what happened. But it just really cracked me up to see all that yellow.
Yeah. So Beyoncé won the Grammy for Country Album of the Year, and it broke people's brain.
Some people's brains.
like, oh my God. It's funny because it's like, as someone who does movie stuff all the time, right? Because the other podcast, I like so don't give a about awards.
I know.
And like, I have this argument, not even argument, but like, I go through this every year on the radio show that I review movies on, where he's like, what do you think about the Oscars? And I was like, I don't know, when do they happen? Like
I know, I've been there when this conversation has occurred.
He's like, who do you think is gonna win? I'm like, I don't care. I just think that they've gotten silly and I just could not care less. And so when people get so mad about this, I was just like, oh my God, are you lucky? Are you so lucky that this is what you have to get mad about?
So true. Yeah.
And I can also point you to songs from like the 50s where people complain that today's country music isn't real country music like yesterday's country music.
And that happens every 10 years.
I mean, it's just like, oh my God, you people are so damn boring. So anyway, she won the album.
And congrats to her.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats. Yeah. I mean, and these Grammys are a big deal, even though I think they're kind of dumb, but they are a big deal. Like, right. And so Peloton has hinted that you have more Beyonce content coming your way.
Yeah, they posted, so it was like Cowboy Carter Tour was on Beyonce's page, and then Peloton said, excuse us while we prepare for Beyonce Cowboy Carter Act 2. And then it proceeded to get very quickly, within one day, 570 likes just on that one comment.
Right, on a comment.
Yeah, because her post got 2.2 million likes in one day. But that's a lot of likes for one comment.
A comment, yeah, for sure.
And then people started putting in their orders to Peloton like it's fast food.
Or complaining. How dare you?
Yeah. Well, I didn't see those because I had taken it. I don't know. I took it down. I took this screenshot pretty quick. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. There is no activity challenge for February, which means for the first time ever, I will complete a Peloton challenge.
Well, so here's the thing. There are challenges for February. There is no activity challenge. So that's a really important distinction because you still get a rowing challenge for February and a walking challenge, yada, yada, yada. But what you don't get is an activity overall. So what people wondered was, oh, is this because they did their 100 days challenge, right? Which is a completely legitimate thought until you realize they still had an activity challenge for January. And so then you go, well, did y'all just forget it? Because it's been posted everywhere.
Yeah.
And it hasn't like popped up. Well, that I know of. I haven't checked
it's
today.
only 28 days. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. So there you have it.
Also, something you should note is that if you're doing the annual challenge, apparently walking meditations don't count.
Or at least not all the time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You didn't meditate hard enough.
And also the monthly walking running challenge, they don't count for those either. So, yeah. I don't know if that's an oops. I don't know if it was on purpose.
It's the same
Nobody
guy
knows.
who does activity challenges.
Exactly.
And he's
Exactly.
like, oh, shit, that too?
Yeah. Somebody took off that day.
Yeah.
Whoopsers. Also, I just have to say the amount of people that got on this person for asking this question because how dare you walk while you meditate was astounding. And then followed up by all the people telling them how dumb they were because walking meditations aren't a thing. And I was like, what are you talking about? They started these last year. There's lots of them. I think it's a great idea. Some people can't sit still to meditate. Like, what is the deal?
Guy, there's a Reddit community that is...
There's a Reddit community for everything.
Yes. It's called Confidently Incorrect. And like, there is some great stuff in there.
Oh, I bet. Especially right now.
Yeah, people are just so like, no, there is no way I'm wrong. Even as you're showing them that they're wrong.
Wow.
So, yeah.
To be a white straight man.
Well, it's not all them, but there's a lot of us.
It's a lot of them.
It's a lot of us. We do it a lot.
No, I know. I know. I love talking to them on the internet whenever I calmly explain my thoughts on something and then I get a pat about how I don't understand this thing that I use every day. It's awesome. And I know I'm not alone.
Yes. We have more store closings. Not that this shocks us, but if you're trying to keep score at home or if you want to know if you still got one in your city, here are the ones that are no more.
So San Diego and then the Santa Clara store and the Washington store in Bellevue specifically. We had said in December there were going to be, I think it was a total of 8 stores closing. And this should be the last of them for a little bit. I'm not saying it's the last forever.
Like they will never close another store.
No, but when we announced those 8, this should be the last that rounds out that 8.
And Peloton has cemented their place in the pop culture
Number 2
pantheon.
Yes. This is the second time
This
they've
is the
been
second
on.
time?
Yeah.
Oh, with a second appearance on Jeopardy.
Yeah, but this one was super cool because they named 2 instructors and they said which stars were I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but something to the effect of they were stars. And then they had Cody Rigsby and they had Kristen McGee.
Yes, the actual answer.
Yes,
because they give you the answer.
Correct, and you have to state
Jeopardy.
the question.
This company's star instructors for member workouts have included Kristen McGee for yoga and Cody Rigsby on the bike.
Yes, and I love that. I love that it was 2 different modalities that they didn't just include the bike.
Right.
And I love that they included Kristen McGee because a lot of people don't remember she was a legit yoga star long before she joined.
She used to be on MTV.
Yeah. Like she's a big freaking deal.
Absolutely.
And Peloton was very lucky to have her and we're very sad that she is gone. And no, we're not over it. But good for her to be included on
Absolutely.
that. And very cool for Peloton.
That has to be for her like a pretty nice FU.
I mean, I don't know if it's an FU. She's like a really sweet individual.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she would go the route of an FU, but I could see that she would be like, well, maybe that makes them appreciate my presence more, you know?
I feel like that's a yoga version of FU.
Maybe internally she says, bless your heart. Which is also an FU.
Yes. And coming up after this, we're going to talk about which instructor might be heading to the bike. And did we see Alex Karwoski in a Mich Ultra commercial? We get to the bottom of that one, so stick around.
Instructors in the news.
So will Jon Hosking be headed to a bike near you?
Okay, here are the pieces of information that say yes.
Ooh.
1,
We have a red string chart.
1, he is going to PSNY in February. He's going to be in a Matt Wilper's class on Valentine's Day, and he announced that a long time ago.
Okay.
2, he has been showing a lot of reels lately of him riding the bike. 3, he's also been taking a lot of Power Zone classes. So, sub-question, will he be a Power Zone instructor? We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know the answers to either of these things, but we predict that while he's here in February, he's going to be announced as a bike instructor and potentially a Power Zone instructor.
I mean, I think that would make sense to have a Power Zone instructor in both places.
They already do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Who's the other one?
Hannah Frankson.
Oh, I didn't realize she was British.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't take the class. I don't even know this. I don't take the classes.
Really?
So I never realized she was British.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I don't notice.
Oh, I know.
We'll talk about one later. It's a little embarrassing because I even met him. But yeah, there's others.
Like I think Sam is one. I want to say I haven't taken a Power Zone class in ages, but I'm pretty sure Sam Yo is too. So
I'm sure there's lots of people screaming at their podcast delivery device right now. Come on, Tom.
Yeah.
They're already over there.
Yeah. Yeah. You're probably getting.
And then they're like, oh, it's Tom.
Yeah. You really can't be mad.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That seems on brand.
Yeah. It's like you can say just about anything and nobody ever gets mad at you. There's only been like a few times over the years that I've gotten mail about you.
Yeah.
But I say
Which
something.
Is surprising.
It is. People give you so much more latitude. I tell people this all the time that like we could make the same joke.
Yeah. And
I say it with the same tone. You get laughs and everybody thinks you're hilarious.
Oh.
I don't know. It's a gift. Never let go. And I'm taking you anywhere I need to insult people.
Now I'm like, after our last conversation, I'm like, is it a gift or is it white privilege? Now I'm like, oh no.
Maybe a little of both. Not gonna lie.
Have I done that?
NGL, as the kids say.
People were asking.
Yeah.
There's a Mich Ultra commercial.
Do we have the image on the screen?
We do have the image on the screen. If you are watching on the YouTube, there's an image on the screen right now. And people were like, is that Alex Karwoski?
I watched this commercial like 5 times and I swear I thought like if somebody said put money on this, I would have put money. Yeah. That is Alex. That is Alex K.
So you reached out to Alex K.
I did reach out to Alex K. And he hilariously said, that's hilarious. Hang on, I'll get the exact conversation because his response really cracked me up. He said, ha, certainly not, but I'm flattered you guys would think that. and I said, this guy is your doppelganger. We all thought it was you. He looks so much like you. You should be getting royalties. And he said, ha, ha, ha. I will reach out to them for the next one.
So he didn't say if he thought it looked like him?
He didn't.
Yeah.
But I went on to say, are you messing with me? Is it possibly one of your brothers? Because I believe he has 3 brothers.
Right.
And he said, Scout's honor, I've never seen that person before. It looks so much like him. Like, don't you think it does?
Honey,
I mean,
I didn't know Hannah Frankson was British. You really think I'm going to be like, yes, that looks like Alex Karwoski? I mean, I guess.
You guess? That's his goddamn doppelganger. It is. It's crazy. He could win a look-alike contest for that guy or vice versa.
Well, if you've been wondering, we have the answer.
It is not Alex.
It is not. It is not. So if you started drinking Mich Ultra because of Alex K., you need to stop.
You do.
Yes.
You do. It was just some random actor.
Yeah. Camila Ramon has been featured by people in Español.
Yes. So also it is on Instagram.
Okay.
And the entire thing is in Spanish. So just like go into it prepared if you're going to watch
like
it.
If you don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get a little translator out or whatever. Yeah. But she talks about her life at Peloton and what she does for a living. And it's just a cool little thing. Yeah. So just a fun highlight.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, why would I? I don't speak Spanish.
You're not the demo.
And I don't read People magazine, so I kind of have 2 strikes against me.
You do.
But cool.
It is very cool.
Jeffrey McEachern is going to be featured on an upcoming episode of the New York Roadrunners Association's podcast, Set the Pace, as part of Black History Month.
I thought that was really cool.
It is really cool. And this is where I have to, when I was like, I didn't know Hannah Frankson was British. When I saw the headline, I was like, is he black? Like I did. And I was like, I did not remember that at all.
You don't remember Jeffrey?
I do. I remember. Well, here's the thing. I remember meeting him. I remember him being super nice.
He's so nice.
But I like didn't remember that. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh yeah,
that's hilarious.
I felt like an idiot, but I was like, okay,
yeah. Well, that's
really cool. That's a big podcast.
It is.
That's not as big as Club Out, but
Beck's co-hosts it. I will forever be grateful to the New York Roadrunners and Rob Simmelcare for helping me have my dream come true.
Yes, they were
running
great.
The New York City Marathon.
And that was an amazing event.
It was
to not participate in.
The logistics.
Oh yeah.
God. I wish that like we lived close enough that I could like legit work for the New York Roadrunners. Like that would be my dream job. If we could like somehow afford to live there and I could work there. Oh, I'd be so happy. I would be in my happy place.
Be a hell of a commute for me, though.
I know.
And coming up after this, we have more information on the Tonal 2. We're going to talk about which TV show featured a Peloton bike, and we'll give you tons of content updates if you're looking for stuff to do. So sit tight.
Checking out the competition.
So we talked about the Tonal 2, or as I like to call it, the Tunal.
Oh, I'm sure Dodo would love that.
But they have announced, if you are in possession of a Tonal 1, an upgrade program.
Yeah, if you have a Tonal 1, then they will allow you to trade it in, and they will give you $1,000 off the Tonal 2.
Okay.
So I think that's a pretty darn good deal.
Yeah, especially if you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people you could try and resell it. That can be a pain in the butt. And so
It can. Yeah. When we sold the bike, the original bike, and I'm really glad the way that all worked out because it went to a great person.
Right.
But selling stuff in general is just a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Right.
Plus, the way I understand it is they could probably use some of these pieces from the Tonal 1 towards a Tonal 2. So you're also kind of entering the recycling stream. So if that's important to you, I think that is going to be a really big factor for people. But the way it looks to me, you only have 30 days to make a decision. So if that's something you're thinking about, you need to go on over to the official Tonal community and get signed up right away. And I may have read it wrong. That's just my interpretation.
Gotcha.
Peloton celebrity sightings.
So not a celebrity sighting on a piece of Peloton equipment, but we've been using this segment for this lately when Peloton pops up somewhere in pop culture. And it was on an episode of Law and Order recently.
It sure was. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, neat.
It was found dead in Central Park.
Next to that bear.
Yes. And then someone was unloading crates while they asked for clues. There are always lots of crate unloading on an episode of Law and Order.
Absolutely.
Lots of crate unloading.
That's a staple.
Yes. I don't know, Mac. I'm just here doing my job.
Wow. Oh, that's better than the accent, I guess.
At least I'm this time offending a fellow countryman.
That's true. That's true. For now.
New content.
It is time for the TCO Top 5, where Peloton listens and then steals stuff from us. The first item up for bid is your favorite core class.
Yeah, so this class was taught by Jocelyn Thompson-Rule. It was a 20-minute core class, and this was taught on January 27th of this year. And the Selly Athlete nominated this class. She said that, I love the way this class was structured and Jocelyn's cues. I want more strength with Jocelyn in the future. This class used heavy, medium, and light weights. And that's a lot of weights for a core class.
I talked, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, about there was a picture of Robin where she looked
she looked real tough.
Yeah.
Especially tough.
Yeah. And it's now I think we firmly established in this episode thus far that
you don't take classes.
I don't know
any of the instructors.
What the instructors look like.
Apparently even the ones you've met.
Right. And so
which you met Jocelyn too. Actually, you weren't there. I met Jocelyn.
Okay.
You weren't there.
Gotcha.
Never mind.
Okay, so but her arms, she looks I feel like, are they all really focusing on taking 2-day arm classes on the side?
Maybe they're all just really lifting heavy.
No, it could be.
I mean, there's a lot going on with the Strength Plus app, and there's a lot. So when Peloton rolls out a new modality, I'm not making fun of you. I'm being dead serious. When Peloton rolls out a new modality, what typically happens is it's months in the making, right? So when we see when we saw a Strength Plus app get announced and rolled out, and there were 2 programs on it that were brand new, those had probably been in production for 4 to 6 months.
Right.
So let's say another one shows up in 2 weeks and it's Jocelyn. Okay, well, that was probably done months ago. So I'm just saying it's very possible that they could have been. Like, it may, like, you may not be saying something silly at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, we can't tell right now because they could be doing those things off screen and not showing that to us at the moment.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder if it's something some of the instructors are really focusing on.
Well, I know that Jocelyn has been doing a lot of strength programs and splits, and like she's gone through, you might remember a while back we talked about that there was an instructor, and it was Jocelyn, who was going through, and with her split, she was having all of these like Facebook Lives, and she had all these directions out there for people who wanted to up their strength game. Specifically, it was like for beginners to strength. And she like spelled everything out, helped people with a lot of questions that they had. My point is, she has been making a point to like be more involved on the strength side.
Gotcha.
So it would not surprise me if there's other reasons for that have not become clear at this time.
Okay. Number 2, your favorite run.
Okay, so we had to go. Everybody's going back in the archives lately. Christina Ribeiro is the most recent back in the archives kind of gal. And that's Lil Powerhouse, if you don't remember. Well, she found a class from November 27th of 2020. And it was Bex Gentry's Bring the Heat Run. She said, what I love most about it is the playlist featuring all the songs to say thank you and be grateful for something or someone. Bex adds thoughtful and inspiring words too. A beautiful reminder to be thankful always, because there's always a reason to be grateful, even when everything may seem or feel the opposite. So if anyone is going through some things right now, this could be a really good opportunity.
Number 3, your favorite yoga class.
So this class was taught by Nico Serrani, and it was on February 2nd of this year. And it was a 30-minute yin yoga class. It was nominated by Karen Smith. And Karen said she's not typically a huge fan of yoga, but this class was fantastic. It's slower paced and you hold the movements for longer, and it's focused on hip openers. Pretty doable for this very non-flexible body. It was also my first class with Nico, and I loved her playful commentary and how she interacted with those in the studio. I love that.
Number 4, your favorite Power Zone ride.
Christian is back again. This is his class that he taught on November 17th of 24. It was a 45-minute Power Zone classic rock ride. This keeps being nominated. People love this class. This week it was nominated by Susie Brunzel, and she said this is part of the week 5 rides of the current Power Zone Pack Challenge. Super intimidating with 5 Zone 6 intervals, but completely doable with plenty of 2 Zone 2 recoveries. You'll feel so strong when it's done.
And finally, number 5, some people call him notoriously difficult, but we know that they're unstackable. It's a strength class.
We do. And, you know, Tina writes these articles every week. She pulls everybody's suggestions and she finds them and puts them all together. Well, this week she nominated a class.
Oh.
So Tina.
She's gone mad with power.
No, I love that she did that. And it was so funny because I told her how much that I loved that she nominated her own class. And she was like, I have suffered through this class so many times. Like she it's like one of those classes you love to hate. And she's thought about this class so many times since she's taken it. You love to hate it kind of class.
Gotcha.
It just came out on February 2nd. It was a 20-minute arms and shoulders with, of course, Rebecca Kennedy, because she's
the class Robin and Jocelyn have been taking.
There you go. So she said, when I say she, Tina said she wanted a quick upper body class because she was short on time and feeling a bit under the weather. She said she should have known it was impossible for Rebecca to program a strength class that are a quick, light 20 minutes. The warm up includes a full minute of holding medium dumbbells straight above your head while marching, then moves into 3 rounds, 3 of EMOMs that include 4 different moves and 3 tricep push-ups at the end of each EMOM. This class left my arms like jelly, and 20 minutes was more than enough, but the time flew by because the variety of moves definitely kept my brain busy. Whew.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
We will now take a look at this week at Peloton. We will start with a 90-minute run with Susie.
Yeah, this was this past week, and it's on demand now, so you should definitely check it out. I mean, any class with Susie is amazing, and 90 minutes, that's amazing.
We also have a heart health walk with Matt and Dr. Yancey.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. I assume he is an expert in heart health, and it is now on demand, but it just got added this week. And since it is American Heart Association Month or whatever they call it these days, so makes sense that they put that out there.
It's funny. I just assumed Dr. Yancey was a woman.
Oh.
And at first I thought, because I'm just so open-minded, but then I realized it's because it rhymes with Nancy. And so in my head, I just went.
It was a doctor, so I assumed he.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. You said he, and I just assumed you knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea who Dr. Yancey is.
Well, now I got to go down the rabbit hole. So you were correct. It's a Clyde Yancey.
Okay.
Dr. Clyde Yancey.
Well, there you go.
So your sexism prevailed as usual.
I mean, sexism does typically prevail.
So we also have Start Your Morning Right with Anna.
Well, it's a morning stack. So she does a 20-minute morning yoga flow, and then there's a 10-minute meditation. And that is on February 4th at 7:30 a.m. So it's going to be out by the time people see it. So if you didn't take it live, you can still go and enjoy this later on demand.
And we also have a medal ride with Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte has really embraced the medal.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad to see that. So this is a 30-minute medal ride, and it is going to be coming out on Saturday, February 8th at 9 a.m. And I think this one is live, but it's also in English. How exciting is that?
And we will now take a look at the TCO radar classes coming up that are on our radar and should be on yours too.
Okay.
We've got some Black History Month classes.
We do.
While those are still legal.
Yeah. Yep. So one thing that I want to note is that there are definitely encore classes from years past, either the last year or the year before. So they're kind of mixing those in with some new classes. So just be aware of that. So you're going to see hip hop collections. You're going to see earlier artist series. And it seems like Peloton is going to be announcing special new classes 1 week at a time. So for week 1, we have a couple of classes. There's going to be a Gospel Glow yoga flow with Chelsea, and then there's going to be a Supreme Soul row with Ash. So that's week 1.
Okay. We also have here that Callie is back in PSNY.
Yes. Can you not play your game while we're doing this?
No, the way this is written, I wasn't sure how to read it. I'm like, well, it's not technically a class, but kind of is because she's back, but she's
going to be teaching classes on the 3rd, the 8th, and the 10th. So there will be live classes those days, including one from her signature series, the Soundtrack Strength Club.
The artist series this week features De La Soul.
I think it's De La Soul.
Well, agree to disagree.
Okay. There will also be classes that are going to be taught by Nico, Robin, Chelsea, Emma, and Jocelyn. Do you want to go over all the February classes, or we go over those week by week, you think? It's up to you.
Should we keep them in suspense?
It does not matter.
It's already out there.
Exactly.
Let's dig in.
Okay.
What else we got in February?
In February, we also have One Republic, and we have Kirk Franklin and Ray coming out at the end of February.
Okay. We should also talk about the fact that some of the instructors are starting their 12-week pauses. And
some of them, we don't know how long they're going to be. Maybe it's only going to be 4 weeks. Like, we know Aditi's going to be out for a while, but we don't know that it's going to be the full 12 weeks.
Gotcha.
She had said a while back she was going to be traveling for Peloton and doing some things. So we're hoping that this time that she's away will also include whatever that was.
Gotcha.
Or maybe we'll learn about it soon. We also know that Andy is going to be taking some time off, and Alex Toussaint, all in February.
And then we also have a Power Zone class coming up with Matt and Christian.
Yes, 120 minutes with just the two of them. And it's on Valentine's Day. That's the class that could be the class that Jon Hosking is going to be in. See, we're tying it all together for you.
See.
And it's a Power Zone class, and Jon Hosking's going to be there. You see what I'm saying?
It's like the final scene of Usual Suspects.
It really is. If he limps in there.
Don't forget, we have a Captain America cross promotion where you can train like a superhero.
Okay, but this is in addition to the last one.
Okay.
This is now going to be a challenge.
I'm going to say technically Captain America, performance enhancing drugs.
True. That is true.
Super
That's a good
Soldier
point.
Serum is why he can do all that. He didn't really train at all.
Okay, well, he's still a superhero.
I think this is a bad precedent
Okay.
for Peloton to be setting.
I'm not allowing you to derail me. Let me get to the point here. When the first thing came out and it was a cross promotion, that was on the Strength Plus platform.
Okay.
So you could make classes or you could take classes. But the weird thing is that every time you did it, it was a different class. So it was really just like generating an upper body class. I wasn't too impressed with that one.
Superhero skip leg day.
Well, this one, though, is a challenge that everyone can participate in because this shows up on the app and this apparently is for all equipment. So will this be specific classes? Will it be like maybe we'll see something like Tunde teaching classes? Maybe we'll have something like that. I don't know.
A female superhero?
They have those, Tom.
You can't do that.
You're a comic book nerd. You should know better. You should know better.
And I should be allowed to derail this portion of the show because it's comic books and it's movies.
You're not wearing your little Captain America t-shirt, so.
I got a Muppets hoodie on.
And we're not talking about the Muppets.
And underneath that, I have a Camp Candy shirt from the John Candy-led Saturday morning cartoon.
Of course you do.
Because that's who I am.
And I love you.
Anyway.
Yes, exactly.
It is award season and Peloton has a collection for you.
They do. We're doing the a collection. So I don't know. I don't know who all is going to be in it. I guess everybody that won Grammys. I don't know. Everybody's won Grammys before. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't even care enough to go look. But I know Ray was in this this collection.
Gotcha.
So.
And then finally, we have rising country classes coming up. Like how I dropped my G there.
I did.
Because it's country music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So, we have rising country classes coming up. You know, there's several different instructors teaching them, but 4 new ones, and they don't appear to be attached to anything. So I don't know if this is some kind of like also Grammys thing that they're doing. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Don't know. When is the Country Music Awards?
I have no idea because it's awards and I don't care.
Well, it'd be nice if you knew this.
It would have been. Wouldn't that have been great?
It would have.
If I'd have been like, oh, it's March 19th.
It would have.
Like, I have no idea.
All right.
Okay.
In case you missed it.
We have 2 new apparel things to discuss. We have spring apparel that you don't hate.
I mean, honestly, it's been a while since I've been truly excited about anything, and there's lots of great colors and the floral in this, and all the instructors that have worn the floral all look beautiful in it. Like it's a very flattering floral. I haven't bought anything, don't worry, but
Phew.
I do really like the colors in the spring collection. They did a great job.
And we also have the Together We Go Far collection.
Yep, they added several new items to the Together We Go Far collection, and that is out now as well.
Awesome. And coming up after this, we're going to talk to our interview of the week, Kelli D. So stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Kelli Diltz. Hey, Kelli, how's it going?
Hi.
Good. How are you?
Good. We're so happy to have you here. I always like to start these conversations out by understanding like how you originally found Peloton and decided, oh, I definitely think this is a good match for me.
Sure. I came to Peloton in 2019, and I was actually introduced to it by one of my friends that I met through the Bookstagram community. She knew that I was taking spin classes at our local gym and they kept getting canceled. And I was annoyed. And so she said, well, why don't you try Peloton? And it was a little expensive. And so I had just a little raggedy spin bike in my garage. And I was using the app through that for a couple of months. And I just fell in love with it and wouldn't stop talking about it. And so for my college graduation present, my husband bought the first Peloton bike. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. So he was like, okay, I got to get her this bike so she'll stop talking about it. Tom thought by starting this podcast, I would stop talking about Peloton.
I was like, we'll only talk about it like 20 minutes a week. And
fail.
Almost 400 episodes later.
Yes,
here
exactly.
You are.
I was so wrong.
So wrong.
So, but I mean, that makes sense that you would like, get your feet wet, make sure that you're going to like it before you pull the trigger on a purchase like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So you said you were taking spin classes. Have you been pretty active your whole life? It was fitness kind of like in fits and starts for you. How did it go? I was not a fitness person, so that's why I'm always curious about that.
I've been pretty active my whole life. There were a couple of years where I had jaw surgery and my mouth was wired shut and I was in a lot of pain and didn't work out during those couple of years, but I've always been pretty active outside of that.
Oh, that sounds miserable.
Yeah. Can we ask what precipitated a jaw surgery?
Yeah, my jaw was moving into the back of my head. And so they put braces on to kind of try and correct it. And then I had a jaw surgery where they basically moved it forward and then screwed it into place. And then I had it wired shut while it healed.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I've heard of underbites. I mean, I had an overbite as a child and had braces and that was the end of it. But I didn't know your jaw could get yikes.
Was it painful before? Obviously the surgery was painful and the healing, I'm sure, was painful. But was it painful before that where they were like,
no,
that's even worse?
I had no idea. I mean, I had an overbite, but I had no idea. So, I mean, it's been about 10 years since that. So I'm mostly healed. I do have permanent nerve damage though. So I can't actually feel this part of my face.
What?
Like my bottom lip and chin, I can't feel.
Oh,
should have been a boxer.
I was just thinking, man, if you were like these days, the kids get all the piercings, you wouldn't even feel anything. You could just get piercings galore.
She's like, I've got screws in my mouth,
yeah.
So I feel like I'm all up to date on piercings. Does your husband make you get screws in your head loose? Do you get a lot of those jokes?
No.
You would never not hear them if you were my wife.
That's true. Yeah, that's so true.
So it's a window into poor Crystal's existence.
Yeah. So, okay, if we're going all the way back to 2019, now, are you just a bike person at this point, or do you take other classes on the platform?
I was using an outdoor bike in 2019, and then I lived in an area that had just miles of outdoor trails just built around the city. And so I took frequent advantage of that. But then I also had a gym membership that I used.
Wow. And so now what do you do? Are you bike only? Do you do any of the other classes on the platform now, or just stick with the bike purist?
Well, I have the bike, and then we bought the tread in, I think, 2021.
Okay.
And I also do strength classes.
Okay. So a little bit of a lot of things on the...
Yeah. Right now, I think it's mainly tread. I've been stuck on the tread for a while. It kind of goes back and forth on what I get obsessed with and hyperfixate on.
I totally hear that. Yeah. Yeah. I've been in my tread era for a while now. Now, does your husband use the bike and the tread, since he was the one that was like, oh, we should go ahead and get the bike since you can't stop talking about it? Where does he land on these things?
He uses the bike more than the tread. He's slowly starting to pick up more on the tread, but he's overwhelmingly a bike person right now.
Okay. That works out well since you're hanging out over on the tread right now.
Yeah.
When we were talking offline, you had mentioned that you have PCOS and you feel like Peloton helps you manage those symptoms. Can you tell us how that works?
Sure. I am more prone to not only gaining weight, but holding it. And so I tend to be more heavy set, and that comes with a lot of problems. Mainly, I'm predisposed to diabetes and high cholesterol and high blood pressure and all of that comes with being heavier. And when I was first diagnosed, I had gained 50 pounds in 6 months with no change to anything that I was doing.
Oh my goodness.
And and I was working out heavily. I was eating normally. I was doing all the same things and just could not stop gaining weight. And so they finally, through a bunch of tests, figured out that I have PCOS. And while I'm on medication to manage some of those symptoms, they were really concerned about me being pre-diabetic at the time. My A1C level was really high. And when we got the Peloton, within 6 months of us having it, I was no longer pre-diabetic, and I haven't been since we got the bike. So going, just over 4 years, I have had no problems with diabetes. I have no problems with high cholesterol, no high blood pressure. I'm heavier, but I don't have any of the health problems that they associate with some of that stuff.
Wow.
That's fascinating. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to ask this question delicately. If I just say no, if you don't want to answer. So did those levels get affected? Like, did you end up losing weight, or are you still pretty much where you've been, but it's just you're healthier because of the additional movement in your life?
I've lost weight. I haven't lost all of it. I think maybe 15 to 20 pounds of that 50 have come off. It's really hard for me to lose weight because it all tends to turn to muscle because I have like 3 times the amount of testosterone a woman is supposed to have.
Gotcha.
And so it's easier for that to just turn to muscle than it is to actually lose it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. How frustrating. It's like our bodies can do so many crazy, amazing things, but also so many crazy, unexplainable things that just make life harder.
Right.
I guess it was explainable, but unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not like you have like when you're growing up, it's not like anyone's like you hear about cancer. You hear about like, don't smoke cigarettes, don't do this, don't do that. But like nobody's like, oh, and by the way, your body might suddenly start producing 3 times the amount of testosterone that other people do. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like no one says that.
Right. And there are so many women with PCOS that either go undiagnosed or like me, they don't find out until they're, in their late 20s, early 30s. And it affects so many things. It affects fertility. I mean, it can really wreak havoc on your life if it's not checked. And a lot of people just don't get diagnosed like they should.
Wow.
I hear a lot about it lately, but is it a difficult thing to test for? Like, it sounds like it was quite a struggle for them to even figure it out. I'm just curious.
I don't think
why
it's
it wouldn't
something
be
that
tested for more commonly.
I don't think it's something that you're just like, here's a box you check. Like, I think it's like, it's one of those diseases, I believe, you tell me, Kelly, you know a lot more than I do, that it has a lot of moving parts and it can present in many different ways.
Well, and it comes with a lot of weird symptoms too. And so a lot of things like irregular periods and ovarian cysts, doctors don't really treat. They just give you birth control and tell you, we'll check it in 3 to 6 months. And then nothing ever comes of that. It's really hard to get treatment for anything woman related. And so
true.
Like when I got diagnosed, they found like all of these cysts and they were like, oh yeah, you're completely like full of cysts and you probably had these for decades. Well, nobody ever told me that. Like nobody, I mean, that wasn't a thing that they looked for. And I mean, I think you really have to find a good doctor and kind of stick with them and not leave at this point because it's so hard for women to get proper treatment.
It is. And I think they're very blasé about cysts in general because like, it was not very long ago. I went to the doctor with a whole bunch of symptoms and I was concerned I was having some kidney issues and we have a lot of kidney stuff in my family. So I was like, it was just this dull pain that I was having. And I was like, what is this? And they were like, oh, it's probably just a cyst. No big deal. It's just like, oh, okay. Seems like we should check that out. Nah, it's fine. Like it just hurts whenever they pop or rupture. I was just like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. And there's nothing they can do for it either.
Right.
They're like, oh, it popped. Here's some pain medication.
Yeah.
Good luck.
This is what it's like to be a woman, honey. I give him these speeches all the time.
As if I'm the medical community.
I know. I'm just like, let me tell
It's your
you.
fault.
Yeah. Just like, what I do.
You're just conveniently here for me to complain about. Wow. Well, that seems like quite a journey. And I know that also, when we were talking offline, you had mentioned that you had lost your father in the middle of COVID. And I can't even imagine that. Like, I feel like just about all of us know at least one person who passed away. But like, that's your dad. And that's totally crazy. I mean, I don't know much about that, but I'm curious, was that at the beginning? Was it in the middle? I know my grandpa got it and like got COVID and they had just like 2 days before had given the okay to do the really, really strong drug that was like able to go in. And I don't remember exactly what it was called. I just remember it had gotten approved 2 days before he ended up in the hospital. And I'm pretty sure that's the only reason he survived it. And it was really scary. It was just a really scary time.
Yeah, it was really surreal. This was in 2022, so a lot of people had thought, we're out of it. Everybody's home free, and he wasn't vaccinated. He was in his early 60s. He basically got really sick. He was in the hospital for a week. They put him into a coma shortly after he got there, and he just did not wake up. And he and I weren't on the best of terms when he passed, and so there was a lot of trauma with that. And it's watching somebody die from COVID is just like the worst thing that you can imagine. It was really just horrendous.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You sound like you were going to say something.
No, didn't know if she needed a second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm okay. It happened, and there's nothing that I can do to change it. I wish he would have gotten vaccinated. I know that's probably not, I know a lot of people have a lot of feelings about those vaccinations, but after seeing someone suffer that much, it's worth it just to get them for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we're both very pro, I know you never know who you're talking to. So you
Right.
we're very pro vaccination. We both actually participated in the medical trials that got the Moderna one approved.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah.
And my family is ultra conservative, and I was so surprised and grateful when my parents took it seriously that they needed to get vaccinations, because I was not sure that was going to happen. And it was really scary. And I was really glad when they were not leaving the house. Was that's awesome. You guys just hang out right there. And
But now that it's 2025, we're you guys could maybe leave the house a little bit more.
Yeah, now they can leave.
Now we're comfortable.
Yeah.
We're hey, you want to go on vacation? No,
Yeah.
we'll stay here. But do you feel like it was good to have the physical outlet during that time of just all the trauma that went with that?
It was. I rode a lot of sweat steady rides, and that was more help than I could have even imagined that I needed at that point, because the sweat steady rides really just take it out of you and make it so that you can't really think about things. And that was exactly what I needed at that time.
That's amazing that was so helpful for you. I do feel like there's so many different classes that you can take, that it's Dr. Jen, who's on the show all the time. And she always says the right rides or the right classes will find you. You will go and pick it, and it's always what you need to hear at that moment. And I believe she's right.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your Bookstagram adventures. How did that come to be?
I have always kind of been a reader, and through my 20s, I had let it go a little bit. You're growing up, you're figuring out what you want to do with your life, and I just did not have time to read. But I started picking it up again in 2018, and that's when I started everything on Bookstagram, and it's just kind of snowballed since then. And now I'm traveling out of state multiple times a year to go meet authors, and I met Cody Rigsby at one of his book events, and it's just a really fun time. It's kind of crazy sometimes, but it's really fun. You meet a lot of really cool people through that community.
So I'm not much of an Instagram guy.
He is not.
And all the time she'll show me posts. She has to hand me her phone.
Because he can't. He's always wait, what does this mean?
And then I'm what am I reading? What am I looking at? She's right there in the comments. I'm where the hell are the comments? There's nothing intuitive for Instagram about me. But so how does that work? Are you posting mini little miniature reviews? Are you just posting covers of books and being I like that one? How's that work?
It's a lot of book reviews, a lot of different advanced reader copies that I receive. I'll publish reviews ahead of the publishing dates. Right now, I am doing a really difficult reading challenge for 2025. I don't know if you can see them in the background, but I wrapped all of my.
I was
Okay,
wondering.
I thought they were just-
I was like, can I ask that question? I feel like when you're like, I love to read, and I'm like, I see all these books, but I don't see any book covers. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
They're very pretty.
Yeah.
I thought it was a style
Thank you.
choice.
No, I wrapped them for 2025 because I came to the conclusion while decorating for Christmas that I had way too many unread books, and I have developed a lot of mood reading habits and a lot of bad habits to where I'll look forward to a book for so long and I cannot wait to get it. And then I get it and I don't read it for 3 years.
Oh.
And so I'm really trying to break myself out of that. As a result, I wrapped all of my books. I have numbered them. And every time it's time to pick a new read for this year, I draw it from a bowl and then that's what I read. So there are 340 wrapped books behind me. And I am slowly making my way through those. So right now my Instagram is a lot of those reveals. I'm up to, I think the fourth one will be posted tomorrow. And then I'm alternating the reveals with the book reviews for the books that are revealed.
I love that.
That's awesome. I feel that. Anybody who is an avid reader, I'm sure has a version of what you just said in their life. I mean, I'm more of a Kindle guy, but I have so many books on the Kindle, and I really have to stop myself from just not going and reading like another true crime one. I'm like, okay, I gotta stagger these so I don't just like do that. Oh, Crystal sometimes gets mystified by my choices.
He's very opposite of me.
Because like I'll read something like that and then I'll be like, I'll go grab like the longest book in the world.
Yeah. And he can read like slice of life books that like go, in my opinion, go nowhere. They're good. They're written well. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just, it doesn't appeal to me. And they're always really long, these slice of life novels that don't go anywhere. And so I'm just like,
and I'm a slow reader.
Yeah. So I'm like 10 or 15 hours of just that. Oh, no.
Well, and that's 10 or 15 hours
for me.
For her. If like, it's funny because the Kindle will give you your estimated finish time. It's actually really, it's really dead on.
It is.
I love that.
But like, if a book's going to take her 15 hours, like legit, it's going to take me 30. And so it's just, I can't commit to that, you know. I'm like, like if it took me 30 hours to read one book, I mean, it better be a damn good book.
Right.
So
I'm a fast reader, but 30 hours is a lot.
Yeah. And so then it's got to be something that's like that true crime or a thriller that has twists and turns, because otherwise 30 hours, it's going to be real hard pressed to keep me engaged that long. So
I don't blame you there.
So do you have a preferred genre that really, it sounds like you do, and you have to avoid it because you'll read nothing but that, is what I've surmised.
I started out reading heavy thrillers. It was almost 90% thrillers. And then it got to the point where I would just guess the ending because I would read so many. And so I'd get 3 to 5 chapters into a book and I'd say, oh, that person did it. And this is what's going to happen. And it got boring for me.
Yeah.
So right now I'm reading a lot of romance books.
Okay.
And that's probably what I have the most unread on the shelf right now.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see that.
So I'm assuming as a thriller reader, I'm going to tell this story.
Okay.
You've read Gone Girl?
I have.
Okay. So so anyone who hasn't seen or read Gone Girl, if that person still exists, spoilers for Gone Girl. So Crystal read it and she's like,
This is so good.
This is so good. You got to read it. And so I started reading it and I was legit like, what, 1 chapter in?
Yeah, you were absolutely in the first chapter.
And I stopped and I was like, is this a well-written book? I'm like, is this like really thought out? Like this, it sticks the landing. Like it all makes sense. And she's like, yeah, totally. And I was like, the wife's batshit crazy and she's roping this guy in.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. And I was just like, she's like, how would you know that? I was like, because her behavior about like he would do these things for her that were nice, but it wasn't nice in the right way. It was so much like my ex-wife that I was like, that bitch is crazy. Like I've seen what this looks like.
True story.
And it's crazy. I was like, if this author knows what they're talking about, then she's the problem.
Yeah, that's definitely how that conversation went.
I'm just glad I had a witness.
Yeah.
Because it was such like a jaw-dropping surprise for most people that if I didn't have a witness, they'd be like, oh, yeah, sure.
Okay,
sure,
Tom.
you knew how the Sixth Sense ended. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I do want to say that we are very sorry to hear about your recent passing of your Bookstagram model, though. That sounds very, very sad. How long had you had him? I can't remember his name. It's totally
Batman.
How would I forget that? But that sounds like you guys had a lot of fun together doing that.
We did. He was universally loved on Bookstagram because he just had such a personality and he was so grumpy and he just made the perfect dog for reels, for pictures. He was just a mess.
Well, Batman is kind of grumpy.
Yeah, Batman is a little grumpy. Yeah,
that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him 12 years and he was grumpy his entire life. From the moment I got him, he was grumpy, but he was perfect.
Just a little grumpy guy.
It is funny how they have their own personalities because the dog we had before the dog we have now, Marshall.
Oh,
and
God.
Marshall was like clinically depressed.
Like
he
it always looked like we beat him or
Yeah.
something. Like he was always just like
yeah, he was so mopey.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like you give him a toy, it doesn't matter. You take him for a walk, doesn't matter. He's always sad. It was so sad all the time.
Have you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have, but it's been a while.
So you know how everybody has a voice for their dog. Like my voice for that dog was the depressed robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, especially if you've ever seen the BBC version where he's like, brain the size of a planet and they have me opening doors. Like that was Marshall.
It summed him up so well.
Yeah.
He was a good dog.
Yeah, just always sad.
So sad.
Yeah. So what is your leaderboard name?
My leaderboard name is What Kel Reads with the underscore in between the words.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's on brand.
I wanted to make it easy to find me because I was, in the beginning I would constantly tag whoever I was writing, and they almost always responded. And so I just kept doing it, and particularly with Jess King because she is my absolute favorite. So every time I took her class, I wanted to make sure she saw me and knew that I was like loving everything that she did. It was, a bit hyperfixation, but can't go back and change that. So
she's like, Kel's going to be reading a restraining order. That's what Kel's going to be reading.
right.
Well, so who's your favorite over on the tread? If Jess King is your favorite bike instructor, I know she does do classes on the tread, but I didn't know if she's still your favorite on the tread.
No, I'm kind of all over the place. I mean, for bike, it's Jess King. I really love Matt Wilpers also when I get into the Power Zone mood. And, if I need a hard class, then I go to Tune Day. Those are typically the three. On the tread, I love Kristen and Maddie. I take a lot of his classes, and then Jeff Sims.
Okay. All right. Like to mix it up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so do you have any advice for people just now entering the world of Peloton?
Find the classes with the playlist that you like the best and take those, and don't necessarily worry about the metrics, or if you can't go 80 to 90 cadence for a minute straight. Just enjoy your actual time on the bike or the tread and build your stamina and your endurance from there, and don't necessarily worry about the metrics right out of the gate. Just have fun with it.
That's excellent advice.
Yeah, it'll keep you coming back.
Yeah.
If you're someone who maybe isn't feeling it right away, or like me, hates to exercise, if you can make it enjoyable, then you'll do it more.
That's right.
Yeah, it can be really hard to psych yourself up some days, but like if you get on the bike, the biggest struggle is over. Like you got on the bike or you got on the tread and now you have 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever you're doing to just get it done. And then it's over. And that part of your day is done and you can move on.
Very good advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can't take that
That's
away
right.
from you.
That's right.
Yes.
No.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Before we let you go, remind everybody again where they can find you in all the places.
I am mainly on Instagram, but I also have a Blue Sky account that I just started, and I am under What Kel Reads.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can also find me on Blue Sky and Instagram. And I think that's all. Threads at Clip Out Crystal. Oh, yeah. And the Peloton leaderboard.
And you can find me on Threads and Blue Sky at Tom O'Keefe Jr. or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Of course, don't forget our Patreon. $5 a month, you get all sorts of bonus content and ad-free episodes. And if we get them early, you get them early. So that's it for this one. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Keep
pedaling
and rowing
and running.
Bye.
Clip in, set yourself free. Come